welcome to another science lesson. I know, 2 in 2 days. But as we had that first week off at the start of our term, this is our final lesson on states of matter, so I thought that we could do 2 in 2 days, and it's a lovely lesson today. So today's lesson is on the water cycle. I'm going to be learning all about it. I'm going to be learning 4 key words in this water cycle. Now at LA, I want you to identify and describe the different stages of the water cycle. And our success criteria, I can describe the different stages of the water cycle and also that you can explain the role of evaporation and condensation in the water cycle. So firstly, what is the water cycle? Well, more than 3/4 of the Earth's surface is water. And some of this water evaporates in the heat of the sun. And when the water has evaporated, it's in the form of water vapour. So this is what we did yesterday when you were doing your experiments at home. You were putting different cups around your house, and you were seeing what makes water evaporate, because it doesn't just disappear, does it? It evaporates and it then turns into water vapour. Then moving on, clouds are made from water vapour that has condensed to form tiny water droplets. So remember, condense is when quite hot water meets cold water. When the water droplets get too big, they fall from the clouds. So the water droplets can fall as rain, hail, or even snow. And 300 millions of litres of water falls on dry land each day, which I think is incredible. So this is what our water cycle looks like. So you can see here, we have got, right in our top corner, we have got the sun. And the sun comes up every single day. You can see all these arrows as the sun's heat or the sun's light gets everywhere, doesn't it? And we've got the sea, we have got the clouds, we've got a rain cloud over here, we've got a mountain, and then we've also got a river or a stream which goes back into the sea. So firstly, the sun's rays hit the sea, and this makes the sea evaporate. Obviously not all of it evaporates, but only some of the sea will evaporate, and this would then go up into our clouds. The clouds would then condense, and as it condenses, that then forms these clouds, and then it would then turn into a rain cloud when it gets too big, and the rain would fall down, and you can see these arrows coming down. It would go down the stream, it would go just down the side of the mountain, or it would get soaked up by the grass and the soil, and it would go all ending up back into the sea, and then the cycle will get repeated. So let's see what our water cycle looks like labelled. So firstly, we have the sun as before, and it's shining its rays down onto the sea. This will cause the sea, or some of the sea, to evaporate. So we've got our arrows going up, evaporation. The water that is then, the water vapour that gets evaporated would then be condensed, or our keyword condensation, to form our clouds, which we see in the sky. These then build up and build up and build up, and as the wind blows it, eventually it will turn into a grey cloud. And this is called precipitation. And all that means is things begin to fall from the sky, from our clouds. For example, rain, it might be in the form of hail, or it might be in the form of snow, and it falls down. This then gets collected. So it could either be by rivers and streams, it could be just from the ground, and it could just run off the ground back into the sea, or it could get soaked up by the soil underground, and then it would go back into the sea. And then the process would repeat and repeat and repeat, and it is consistently happening all of the time. So let's see a little bit more detail about what these words specifically mean. So evaporation. So we should all really know what evaporation is. But let's just have a bit of a recap. But heat from the sun causes water to evaporate from seas, lakes, rivers and streams. And water also evaporates from puddles and ponds. And this evaporation happens even on cloudy or cold days. The liquid water turns into water vapour when it has been evaporated. So that's something that we already know. So that's the sea. And from the sun, the water then gets evaporated, doesn't it? And it goes up as water vapour. Next, condensation. So the water vapour in the air rises, and as it does so, it cools down. Eventually, it cools enough for the water vapour to condense, and form small droplets of water. The droplets of water clump together to form clouds. So you can see here, as part of our water cycle, the water vapour rises up and gets cooler and forms clouds, and that is condensation. The wind then blows it and forms a darker cloud. So that is when so much water vapour forms and it gets a little bit too big. It forms this. And this is where precipitation comes in. As more water vapour condenses, more water droplets are formed in the clouds. Eventually, the water droplets are large enough and heavy enough to fall back to the surface of the earth. And these droplets of water fall from the clouds in the form of rain, sleet, hail, or snow. There we go, precipitation. So for example, rain, again, like it says here, we could have sleet, hail, or snow. And finally, collection. So when the water falls back to the earth as precipitation, the water may fall on oceans, lakes, rivers, or on the ground. Water that falls on the ground is either absorbed into the soil and is used as drinking water for animals and plants, or it runs over the ground and collects in the oceans, lakes, and rivers. This water is then evaporated and the cycle starts all over again. So let's say you've got some underground water, a part of rivers and streams, or again it can just run off the ground. So that is our water cycle fully explained. Rearrange the letters of each word below to make the name of a stage of the water cycle. And then, can you put the stages in order? So below you can see some strange muddled up words, but these are just anagrams of the words that we have just learnt. So pause the video and see if you can see which ones are which. And then, can you put the stages in order? Let's see, our first one at the top left is condensation. Our one at the top right is collection. I can see lots of P's in this one. So this one is precipitation. And then finally, what we learnt yesterday, evaporation. But that wasn't just the only thing. It says, then can you put the stages in order? So well, first, from the C, it is evaporating. Next, it condenses. Next, it's precipitation, and then it collects. So let's see if we can move this around. There we go. So first is evaporation, second condensation, third precipitation, and then fourth collection. So now it is your turn. I would like you to have a go at drawing your own water cycle. It could look very, very similar to this, or you might even want to create your own. That is completely up to you. But once you've drawn it, I would like you to label it using our keywords. So evaporation. So just above the C, draw some arrows with evaporation. Then a cloud with condensation in it. The wind. A bit of a greyer cloud with precipitation. Some rain. And then collection. So whether that's in the rivers and streams, running off the ground or underground water. And make sure that it's pointing towards the sea. And remember, the sun is also a really key thing in our water cycle. Without the sun, none of this will be able to happen. So this is a little activity that you might want to do during the half term. This is mini water worlds. So can you make your own mini water world to watch the water cycle in action? So attached to our teams, there will be a worksheet and it will tell you the exact instructions on how to make your own mini water worlds. Basically, all you will need is just a small clear plastic cup, or you can even do it in a glass, and just place a layer of compost, just really, really small, and just sprinkle some cress seeds. And then once pour some water to make the compost damp, but not too much water because you don't want it soaking. And then all what you do is cover it up with some cling film, just to form a lid so it's nice and airtight. And it says over the next few days you can watch your mini water world and you should be able to see the water cycle in action. The water from the compost will evaporate as water vapour, and when it rises it will hit the cooler cling film and condense, which will form water droplets on the cling film. And as they grow bigger and bigger, they will also get heavier and they'll eventually start to fall back onto the compost, and it will just continuously happen. So the crest will keep on growing and growing, and it's just a nice little activity to see the water cycle in action. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed it. This is going to be the last video of the half term, so I will see you in about 10 days for our next video. Have a lovely half term break, and I will see you when I see you.